How you doing, guys? I'm Sean. Welcome to Rambles with my camera. Guys, today's video, I'm so excited, and the reason why I'm so excited, I've took you to Belfast here in the north of Ireland, and this guy here sitting to my left was my inspiration. It's how I got into photography, and it was 1986. This is Sean McKernan, and Sean's a photographer here in Belfast, and he started a community group in the early 80s. When would it have been?
1983.
83. With a school teacher of ours, both ours. We both went to the same school, St Peter's, at Britain's Parade up in the White Rock. And our geography teacher, Danny Burke, and Sean started a photography group and a community photography group. And we'll let Sean just talk briefly about it. But this is a guy here who supplied not only me, but other photographers, I was going to say digital cameras, film cameras. There was no such thing as digital cameras then, and film. Taught us how to use a camera, gave us film, chemicals, taught us how to use a darkroom, got us exhibitions, and got us an interest in photography. So if you happen to like my photography, it's down to this guy here, because without his and Danny Burke at Belfast Exposed, I certainly wouldn't have been in a position to be learning photography. And I want to publicly thank him. Right, Sean, so when you started Belfast Exposed, you were into photography already, but Danny, you done something in school, didn't you, with the film club? And
yeah, well, in St Peter's School on the Falls Road. I went to St Peter's School, I started there 1977. But yes,
that's when Rocky came out.
That's when Rocky came out, yeah.
Right.
So we had a great teacher, a guy called Danny Burke. And
he was a character, like.
Danny was a character, he was from Galway. He taught religion and he also taught geography, but he was involved in a lot of sort of community work in Belfast, and he had an interest in photography. So he had a small darkroom in his classroom, and he used to bring the pupils in during lunchtime. That in his darkroom. Then he set up a camera club and a film club. So at lunchtime, his classroom was like the local community centre. You know, so when kids were on their break, they're inside, having their lunch there, smoking away.
That's it.
And then
we used to have it out smoking, he never said nothing. Like.
Yeah, people let us all smoke away. Not no funny cigarettes, but just you're lucky getting
the school we went to, we were all working class kids from West Belfast, and the school teacher, Danny, he was, you know, like Dead Poets Society, Robin Williams standing up on top of the tables. Well, Danny never got up on top of the tables, but he let us smoke on the smoke break, and it was brilliant. Although I didn't do the photography, I got doing the film club, so I never done that, but I remember.
Yeah, well, we've done the film club. You were showing all the Dirty Harry films and the Bruce Lee films, and you'd have the headmaster. I think it was Mr. Lavery, called Batman.
Batman with a cloak.
He'd be coming down, banging the door. What's going on with Dirty Harry's? Knock that on the head. So it was, now and again it was closed down, but from there, you know, we all had an interest in photography. I still became friends with Danny, right up until he was. Unfortunately passed on there about 7 years ago. But anyway, afterwards, Danny always wanted to do a project about Belfast, set up a photography project, and he asked me to give him a hand. So we decided to do an exhibition, throw it out there, asking people to contribute to work, whether they're professionals or amateurs, whether it was a 110 shot or whether it was a nice glossy 20x16 colour shot. It didn't matter what level of photography that you were at.
The people would have brought prints, like, as well.
People would have brought their prints. We had it in the Commie Milk, and this was set against a backdrop of a lot of censorship, a lot of propaganda, and we just simply thought that people in Belfast needed to tell their story, and that's all it was about. You know, it was a very simple idea, using the medium of photography to give people a chance to express their views about life in Belfast, and it could be anything. It could be.
Where did the photographs come from? They come from mainly West Belfast, Catholic West Belfast, or did they come from?
Well, the photographs came from right across Belfast. You know, we have people from the Falls, the Shankill, East Belfast, South Belfast. Yes, of course, you had quite a few people in the Falls Road, because that's where me and Danny were living. That's where I'm from. But we were amazed. We had a representation from right across the city.
I think it was unheard of, really, then. And just for those of you who are not familiar with the situation here in Ireland, and certainly Northern Ireland, at that time, you know, the thing was called the Troubles was going on. And to get, as Danny and Sean put together, that had people, there was a lot of people would be more known about discrimination over people's race and things like that. Well, here in Ireland, it was like a discrimination over people's religious beliefs. So, but what Danny and Sean did, obviously, they brought people, Catholics and Protestants, Jew dissenter, in, and they all supplied photographs, which was brilliant because it was sort of uniting the communities, which was sort of divided over the religious aspect of it. So fair play, it was a good.
So that, I mean, it was set against that backdrop of censorship. There was quite a lot of censorship going on in the media, and we just thought it was an opportunity for people who had a common interest in photography, had something to say about Belfast, and we brought them together under the one roof in the Commie Milk on the 13th of October 1983. And the way it evolved, it was supposed to be a one-off exhibition. The exhibition was invited to, it went to the Shankill Leisure Centre, it went to different community centres, it went to supermarkets. It didn't go to traditional galleries. We wanted to put the exhibition in places where everybody could see it.
So when they first started off, as Sean was saying, the Commie Milk's on the Falls Road, which would be in a Catholic area, and then the next exhibition would have been over to the Shankill Road, which would have been a Protestant. So it showed you how welcome it was. When you mentioned there was censorship in the media, were you talking about the word was only saying one side of what, saying one side of the troubles, and you wanted to show something different?
Well, you were seeing photographic images through the mainstream press, and there was quite a bit of censorship in terms of, oh, we can't show that image because it's a wee bit too gory, we can't show that image because it's too Republican or it's just too loyalist, and we thought it was proper for people to have their say uncensored. And the way that it worked was, if somebody came up to the exhibition, and I just want to quickly add, at the minute, for the past two or year and a half, I've been archiving a collection of over 500,000 photographs from the period of 1983 up until the year 2000. All the work belonging to the photographers and left from trust to Belfast Exposed. And it's the first time I've had... Well, it's amazing. It's like reading a book. And it's the first time I've had the chance to look down at this body of work because it was quite close to it. And I have to say, I would imagine about 10% of the images deal with the politics here. Okay. The rest are just everyday life, you know. Okay. And we, in turn, got a lot of stick from a lot of some political organisations, a lot of people who should have known better, accusing us of being like an IRA front, a socialist front. We were putting out propaganda. It was just so untrue. We ended up getting the neck. By a lot of individual politicians, which is very dangerous at the time, accusing any arts group of being involved in politics. And the point I'm making is, less than 10% of the images dealt directly with the conflict here. The vast majority of the images were everyday life. People's birthday parties,
kids in the street,
parades, kids on the streets, characters and all the rest, you know. That made up the whole picture.
There was a lot of it, was, you say, was covering. A lot of it would have been, as Sean said, but like if you think about 10% out of such a large archive, you had to cover the troubles aspect of it, so you would have got the political side of it, but it was a lot of street photography, social documentary photography, real photography from real people. And I think the bonus was the fact that the people were in their own areas.
Yeah, well, it was, you know, I remember one of the incidents that I remember sort of pushing me sort of a bit more into photography. I remember being at Bobby Sands funeral.
Okay.
And at the time I was 16, I had a small Olympus trip.
Can I just clarify, Bobby Sands was one of the IRA hunger strikers in 1981.
First IRA hunger striker.
So
this is a momentum occasion, you know. And so I went along to the Bobby Sands funeral up Milltown Cemetery, and I remember seeing this large platform that was constructed. It was almost like a small football stand made out of scaffolding and wood, overlooking the site of where the funeral was going to be.
Okay.
And I remember looking around, and there were like at least 100 photographers, all photographing this.
All from around the world, of course.
All from around the world. And I looked up at this, and I think there was only one photographer that I could recognise. And I thought, like, all these photographs are being taken, you know. I mean, there was a bit of history going on at the time. It was a major event, major political event. And it struck me that all these images are going to leave Belfast, and will local people get a chance to document this event? Not just that particular event, but the whole what was going on in Belfast at the time. Are people living here getting a chance to record this themselves? And that made it all the more important for me to try and develop the Belfast Exposed project, to encourage people to document their own lives.
Did you have a camera at that stage?
I had a camera at that stage, at a roll of 35mm colour print film, and I actually took about I'd only wrote one roll of film, and I still have it now.
So much more expensive than the digital. Now you had the 36 exposure, and you had to get it right, of course. But it was
yeah. Well, we had a conversation earlier on about the relationship between digital and the merits and the advantages and disadvantages between film and black and white. You know, with film, you had 36 shots. So you had to make every shot count, and it made you concentrate on the composition, on your exposure, and what you were taking. You couldn't look at the back and see the image coming up to point you in the right direction. You had to nail it and get it right at the time. You couldn't do the whole spray and pray thing, which a lot of people fall into that trap with digital. You had to make every shot count. I think that's very important. I think a lot of people would have lost their sense of their eye and their composition because they have that endless roll of film. Like it's an endless roll of digital film in their bag.
No cost yet.
Yeah. You know, and it's almost like going fishing with a submachine gun and trying to catch a fish, you know, as opposed to maybe popping a line in with a bit of patience, you'll get a catch. So I like the idea of using film because it slows you down and makes you think about what you're taking, and it makes you think about the composition. And that's very important. Because even the rule of thumb was, when we were in the early days of Belfast Exposed, if you have a roll of film and you got one shot that you'd be happy enough to stick in a frame, put it above your mantelpiece, then you got a result. And
think pictures on the wall rather than just, pictured in an album. So you had to really just take care. As Sean said, you had 36 shots, but you didn't just fire them off because the film was expensive. The development was expensive. That's probably why most of us shot the black and white. It was better to do it ourselves. But you had cost there, and there was no auto settings as such. It was all mainly manual, wasn't it? I think it had an auto mode on it.
Well, some of them, you had that sort of bridging technology whereby you had a 35mm camera, and you would have had sort of the old cameras, like your Pentax K1000s. A lot of those were purely manual. Yeah. You just had a little battery that helped you get the correct exposure, plus, minus, and the needle went up and down. That's basically what the battery runs. Now the cameras it's like a mini computer. You know, I mean, there's still buttons on cameras that I don't know, and I actually don't want to know how they work. I stick purely to manual. One of the drawbacks about digital is, and to my own cost, I found it is how easy it is to lose data. I've got two small hard drives about this size here. Years of work, hit the deck, go on. And the process of getting that stuff back can be quite expensive.
Okay.
Like it costs you maybe £700 to £1,000.
Can you get it back in a way?
Well, it's quite tricky. It's one of the biggest growing businesses at the minute called data recovery. Because people are so reliant on not just photographs. You might have architects who've got their plans. You've got songwriters writing songs.
Okay.
You've engineers drawing up plans. They've got them on the computers, they've got them on external hard drives. If they fall and hit the ground, pum, it's all gone.
Okay.
You can't take your chance, go to a data recovery company. My last experience was, Mr. McKernan, we've got a 60% chance of getting your work back. If we get it all back, it's going to cost £700.
Okay.
If we don't get it all back, you're going to pay us £400. So, what the chance that you could have is you send your hard drive away. Some unscrupulous data recovery company can just leave it sitting there, pop it back in an envelope, say, sorry, we couldn't recover it, and you're down £400.
It's an easy money, £400.
Yep. And so you need to be quite careful. You need to go to a company that's got quite a good reputation, and a track record on recovering the stuff. I also got my two external hard drives because I'm hoping at some point technology will catch up and you'll be able to get it back.
Sure.
It's like looking for the black box on a Christ plane. The technology is out there. to get it back.
It is getting better in that context.
Well, it is getting better. So hopefully somewhere down the line you'll be able to buy some software and do it yourself. You know.
I've done a video on. If you're not familiar with it, put it up on above there in the top left. I've done a video on the importance of backing up your digital media, and I think it's ironic. Sean was talking about, you know, probably millions of images in total, and the negatives that he's scanning now. So he's taking the film archives, the analog days, and he's scanning them, putting them on the thing, which is amazing in itself. But would you have, like, I got a lot of negative damage and dampness, but I've still got about 6,000. I got about 6,000 negatives that are perfect. Well, as perfect can be. There's a few marks on them, but they're as good as a day that we done them. You put them on archival paper. You made sure they were developed and fixed properly, and you looked after them. But the digital, as you said, it's not as foolproof as you think.
No.
You know, you just think, oh, it's digital. You know, we can sit and do it.
Yeah.
A lot of people go backing it up. And
yeah, I mean, you could have your life's collection of work. I mean, I work as a photographer, and I've made that mistake. So, I mean, your average person that has got photographs or data on their computer, if the computer goes, if it's dropped, if it's burgled, all your eggs in one basket and they're going. So it's very important to back your stuff up. You know, what I do now is I back everything up until an external hard drive that I keep in a safe place. I also have got an external hard drive where everything is again backed up, and I leave it up in my house. So if the house burns down, 2 separate places. If the house burns down, I've got my work in the studio. If the studio burns down, I've got my work in the house. You know, you have to continuously update it. You've also got the option of putting your work into what's called the cloud. Okay. You know, it's basically your work's been sent up to cyberspace, it's been sent to the cloud, and it's safe. However, that has been questioned. Because a lot of people's work has been hacked through the cloud system. Okay. So is your stuff safe up there? Are people going to hack it? I don't know. But at least it will be safe. Best thing to do, the 2 hard drives have 2 separate places. One in one house, one in your studio, under 2 separate roofs. So if something does happen, you've got it. But it's a continual job. You have to keep backing up your stuff.
On a regular
basis.
Here's, would you digital, you know, when you're looking through, if you're shooting film or you're familiar with shooting film, you would have held your negative up and you had to look through, and you know, it was so expensive, you didn't want to be sitting putting, you know, you never printed, you got a strip of 6 negatives or so 6 images, you wouldn't have printed all them 6 out, it was too expensive, so you would have got a loop out and you had to look through and chose, or a contact sheet, and chose the frame that you were going to be using, and then you printed that. But you wouldn't have cut off the other ones that might have been a wee bit blurry, a wee bit badly composed, and just binned them and thrown them away. You'd have kept them on it. When people are shooting digital, I'm noticing people in the back of their camera deleting when they're in the street, taking photographs. Yet I think that's wrong to do that, because it's better off waiting till you get home again to just check out and see. Okay, so hit the wee stop there. Thanks, Lynn. The wee red button there.